Hello, this educational video is brought to you by the Colorado HOA Information and Resource Center. The topic of this video presentation pertains to the mandatory public disclosures that HOAs must provide to owners and matters that HOAs cannot put in place that infringe on a homeowner's rights. The information provided during this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not meant to provide or to be construed as legal advice. Any questions should be directed to your attorney. HOAs have an obligation under the law to provide certain mandatory disclosures to its members. As a board member, you need to know what disclosures need to be made to the association's homeowners and when they need to be made. Some of these important disclosures need to be made on an annual basis. These disclosures and their timing fall under Section 3833.3 209.4 of the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act, unless the association is exempt from their disclosure. HOAs are required to disclose the following information to its members within 90 days after assuming control from the declarant: the association name, the name of the designated agent or management company, a valid physical address and phone number for both the association and agent or management company. Also, if there are any changes to this contact information, the association is required to make the updated information available within 90 days after the change. Also within 90 days after assuming control from the declarant, the association must provide the initial date of recording of the declaration, which can be found in the declaration document that is recorded in the county recorder's office where the property is located, or it may be also found in the Colorado Secretary of State's office under the association's corporate filing information. The reception number or book and page for the main document that constitutes the declaration must also be provided. Next, there is information that must also be disclosed within 90 days after the end of each fiscal year: the date on which the association's fiscal year commences, the association's operating budget for the current fiscal year, and a list by unit type of the association's current regular and special assessments. In addition, the association must provide its annual financial statements, including any reserve amounts held from the prior fiscal year, the association's most recent financial audit or review, and a list of all association insurance policies, including but not limited to property, general liability, directors and officers' professional liability, and fidelity policies. Such lists will also include the company's names, policy limits, deductibles, additional named insureds, and expiration dates. The association must also provide a copy of the association's bylaws, articles, and rules and regulations, the minutes of the board and member meetings for the preceding fiscal year, and the association's responsible governance policies adopted under Section 3833.3 209.5 of the Kiowa law, of which there are 9 such policies. As a board member, how can you have your HOA provide this mandatory and timely information? The Kiowa law provides that it is the intent to allow the association the widest possible latitude in the methods and means of these disclosures, while requiring that the information be readily available at no cost to the homeowners at their convenience. To accomplish these disclosures, an association can use any of the following means: posting on an internet web page with accompanying notice of the web address sent via first-class mail or email to all owners, maintaining a literature table or binder at the association's principal place of business, mailing to all owners, or personal delivery to all owners. HOAs must be careful not to infringe on a homeowner's rights, and under the Kiowa law there are listed a number of prohibitions that are contrary to public policy that an HOA must adhere to. They can be found in Section 3833.3 106.5 of the Kiowa law. Make sure that the covenants, bylaws, and rules and regs do not run afoul of these laws. It is important to have your legal counsel review and modify your governing documents so as to be in compliance with these matters. The HOA must allow the display of the American flag on a unit owner's property in a window of the unit or upon a balcony adjoining the unit if the American flag is displayed in a manner consistent with the Federal Flag Code. The association may adopt reasonable rules regarding the placement and manner of display of the American flag. The association rules may regulate the location and size of flags and flagpoles, but shall not prohibit the installation of a flag or flagpole. The HOA must allow the display of a service flag bearing a star denoting the service of the owner or occupant of the unit, or of a member of the owner's or occupant's immediate family in the active or reserve military service of the United States during a time of war or armed conflict, on the inside of a window or door of the unit. The association may adopt reasonable rules regarding the size and manner of display of service flags. Political signs. The HOA must allow the display of a political sign by the owner or occupant of a unit on property within the boundaries of the unit or in a window of the unit, except that the association may prohibit the display of political signs earlier than 45 days before the day of an election and later than 7 days after an election day. An association may regulate the size and number of political signs. It must permit at least one political sign per political office or ballot issue that is contested in a pending election. The maximum dimensions of each sign may be limited to the lesser of the maximum size allowed by any city, town, or county ordinance, or 36 by 48 inches. The HOA must allow the parking of a motor vehicle by the occupant of a unit in the common interest community if the vehicle is required to be available at designated periods as a condition of their employment, as long as specific requirements are met. Weight of 10,000 pounds or less, and it must bear an official emblem or designation. And the occupant must be a bona fide member of the fire department, law enforcement, ambulance, or emergency medical services. The HOA must allow the removal by a unit owner of trees, shrubs, or other vegetation to create defensible space around a dwelling for fire mitigation purposes, so long as such removal complies with a written defensible space plan created for the property and certified by certain state or local government authorities. The HOA must allow the reasonable modifications to a unit or to common elements as necessary to afford a person with disabilities the full use and enjoyment of the unit in accordance with the Federal Fair Housing Act of 1968. This act can be found in 42 United States Code Section 3604. The HOA must allow the right of a unit owner, public or private, to restrict or specify by deed, covenant, or other document. This means the right of an owner to set the permissible sale price, rental rate, or lease rate of the unit, or designate occupancy or other requirements designed to promote affordable or workforce housing as such terms may be defined by the local housing authority. The HOA must allow the practice of xeriscaping to property for which a unit owner is responsible, including a limited common element or property owned by the unit owner. Associations, however, may adopt and enforce design or aesthetic guidelines or rules, or regulate the type, number, and placement of drought-tolerant plantings on a unit owner's property. The HOA must allow the use of a rain barrel, as defined in Colorado statutes, to collect precipitation from a residential rooftop in accordance with the law. There are many restrictions placed on the use of rain barrels in the statutes, including their use and placement. An association may also impose reasonable aesthetic requirements that govern the placement or external appearance of a rain barrel. Renewable energy devices. An association shall not effectively prohibit renewable energy generation devices, as defined in Section 3830-168 of the Colorado Revised Statute. This includes the use of a solar energy device or wind electric generator. The HOA can place aesthetic provisions that impose reasonable restrictions on the dimensions, placement, or external appearance of a renewable energy generation device. Cedar roof shakes. An association shall not require the use of cedar shakes or other flammable roofing materials. Due to the many fires in Colorado over the past years, the use of non-flammable roofing materials is preferred. This may also help with insurance coverage. Energy-efficient measures are discussed in Section 3833.3, 106.7 of the Kiowa Law and are limited to include only specific types of devices or structures. An association shall not effectively prohibit the installation or use of an energy efficiency measure. It means a device or structure that reduces the amount of energy derived from fossil fuels that is consumed by a residence or business located on the real property. These energy-efficient measures include an awning, shutter, trellis, ramada, or other shade structure that is marketed for the purpose of reducing energy consumption, a garage or attic fan and any associated vents or louvers, an evaporated cooler. Additional energy-efficient measures include energy-efficient outdoor lighting devices, including those using fluorescent light bulbs or solar recharging panels. Also, a retractable clothesline is permitted. The HOA can adopt reasonable aesthetic provisions that govern the dimensions, placement, or external appearance of these devices, or upon a bona fide safety requirement as per any building code or safety standard. Electrical vehicle charging systems are addressed in Section 38, 33.3, 106.8 of the Kiowa Law. Common interest communities should provide their residents with at least a meaningful opportunity to take advantage of the availability of plug-in electric vehicles, rather than create artificial restrictions in the adoption of this technology. There are a lot of restrictions and conditions imposed for the allowance of these charging stations, and the HOA can adopt measures for their use. This has been an educational presentation from the HOA Information and Resource Center. Following this presentation, you will find a short quiz and some HOA resources. Thank you for watching.